Today I'm going to show you how to make a portion of sage. Sage is the beautiful autumnal leaf quilt behind me. I couldn't possibly make a second one, so I'm going to show you the majority of how it's made up, the bits and pieces to it, in other words. So I'm going to make the leaf, I'm going to do the borders and sashing, I'm going to work with the main template shape. Now, if you don't have my acrylic template, which some of you may or may not have, then there is always a paper piece pattern in the actual pattern itself. So you must never worry if you haven't got the acrylic template. I give you the pattern piece, and that is your main piece that you need to use. So today, like I said, I'm going to show you how to make the leaf design. Now, if we zoom in really close to the quilt here, you can see, if we look at this one here, I want you to see how this is made up. Either one of these you can have a quick close look at. I'll try and get my leaves out the way so you can zoom in, and you'll see, if you look very closely, that we've got this shape here as a solid shape. This is the solid shape, and this is the solid shape. I'll show you the template in just a moment. We've also got half square triangles and squares that make up this little panel here, and that's the main thing of what I'm going to show you today, because in the pattern itself I give you all the diagrams of how this is pieced together. So don't think, oh, you're not going to know how to make the quilt if it's the quilt you want to make. I think the main thing for me is to show you how the template is used to make this leaf design, and then from there you can make whatever you like. I'm going to make the front of a cushion. I'm not going to do the backing because we know how to do an envelope backing. I'm going to do the front, and it shows you pretty much how to put together the leaf design and how to put the sashing on, and really that's all you need to know. The borders, which you can see down here either side, so if I get back here, that's this bit here, literally is a half square triangle. If we can zoom in on that, I would very much appreciate it. This shape here is that's your main shape there, and it's a half square triangle that matches the sashing and the border here. Okay, so it makes it look like it's spiky, but in actual fact it's just little rectangles that you've made up. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So basically that's it. In the pattern, like I say, I give you all the diagrams of how to put that quilt together. I think the main thing for you is to see the template in action on making the leaf, as I keep saying. So if we look overhead, you can have a look at the template. This is a working template, so it's got some sticky tape on it, or sticky marks on it, and I'll talk about that as well. This is the template that I'm selling in my shop, and this is the template you need to make up the quilt. Like I say, you do get a paper pattern, so you mustn't worry if you don't want the template. The template here is actually a 3-in-1. So you've got that main outer shape, which I just talked about before with the leaves. You've also got 2.5-inch square with a little tiny piece of the corner snipped off. So you're looking at that dash line there to make that square. And then you've got the half square triangle. So if you look at the solid line there, that gives you your half square triangle. So it's a 3-in-1 template basically. Now there is a separate video on YouTube to show you exactly how to use this, how to cut it, what you can use it for, different designs, a free pattern. There's all sorts going on with this template. It's incredibly good value for money, but like I said, you'll have the paper pattern. So now you've seen that, I want to show you the pieces that we're going to put together. So I'll just bring in one. I've got a heap of 4 different colours here to make the leaves. So this is what you'll need, and of course we'll be piecing these together now, but I just want to show you the layout. And so each shape is cut in a particular way, well, on the main design. So you want 2 that look like that. And it does make a difference on where you position the template. For instance, if I was to get this template, you can see my name on it, but actually to cut this, I've had to flip it like that. Okay, so that's just something to think about. So you've got those 2 shapes there. This one goes up here, and this is the half square triangle that goes with it, and you can see that that one is cut differently to that one. If I was to bring it down, you can see, hold on, if I was to bring it down, you can see that it's the mirror image. So if you cut two right sides together, you'll get the two that you need, and then you cut a third separately. And when we look at the template again, I'll bring that in again. When we look at it, you see my name on it, just there where my finger is, and actually that sits right side down to cut that shape out. So I hope I've made myself clear. That particular leaf part there is right side up. These two are right side down. Or you could cut them on the wrong side and have it so you can read the writing. Up to you. But it's knowing how these shapes work. So you've got two the same and one almost like flipped. So you've got the square in each corner. You've got the half square triangle here to match that one, and basically that's the same shape that you're making when you're making the border. You're just putting a half square triangle to the main shape, and then this particular fabric would be the same as the border or the sashing. So if you're not sure what I mean by that, just rewind a bit, and as I talk to you about the border, you'll know what I'm talking about. Then you've got half square triangle, and then here we have let's get it the right way around. You've got the half square triangle there of the same colour, and you've also got the half square triangle there. So straight away you can see the leaf. There's also a little piece that you cut. Now I give you the instructions in the video, in the pattern, sorry, and all I've done is turn the long edges to the middle. You can see that, and I've given it a press, and that's going to be your applique to put on your square to make your leaf. So basically that is your leaf design. Now how would you make it up? Well, again, in the pattern I give you the sequence of events. So you're going to stitch, first we're going to stitch the stalk on. So we're just appliquing that down, two little lines of stitching along there. I'm going to do it all for you in a sec. Then you're going to stitch that half square triangle to there, and then that joins to that. So that's your first bit. Then you're going to stitch these two together, then you're going to stitch that to that. You're going to stitch that one to that one, that one to that one, and then you're just joining the 3 rows. Now I know I've gone through that really quickly, but in the pattern it shows you a little bit more detail of how you put those together. But I think if you follow this, rewind if you need to, you'll have it. This cushion front isn't a pattern that I have written. This is a visual learning tool, so you know how to put the leaf together. But of course this is really like having a free pattern. So let's put a block together. So to make this easier for you, I've put these together on a wool mat. So if we look at it from the front, you can see that because it's the wool mat, the pieces just stay. And you can see at a glance of all the different shapes and how to put them together. Much easier to do that than working from just a heap on your desk. So do place them out as you are going to stitch them. It'll be so much easier. So let's get cracking. So your stitch length is going to be on 2.5, or the standard setting that comes with your machine. So just switch your machine on, and whatever that machine setting is, go for it. It's usually about 2.4, 2.5. And we're just going to applique our little strips on. Now you could, if you wanted to, use quilter's tape to hold this strip down, or a couple of pins, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just going for it basically. And you're going to stitch down one side and then up the other side. So let's just trim my threads, because we've got lots of threads going on here. And you can trim these corners off if you want to, the little dog ears. I shouldn't worry if I were you, it's fine as it is. So if you can see there, that's our stalk. And if we put it back on our mat, let me show you from the overhead. So I've put it back on my mat exactly where it needs to be. Now I'm going to stitch these two together. So right sides together, you've got the dog ears, so you know, or the dog ears have been cut off, so you know where your starting point is with your 1/4 inch seam allowance. And if you're not sure about your 1/4 inch seam allowance, then do a scant, because we want to end up with a 6.5 inch square. So there's our first seam. And if you want to finger press it, or get your iron and give it an iron, and that's what it looks like. If you're making the quilt, this is part of your border, so this is what it would look like. And now we can actually stitch the bottom piece onto this piece we've just made. So right sides together, make sure you get your stalk in the right place. And again, a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance is really preferable. You can always trim. So that's our first little piece done. So I'm going to lay it back down on my mat, give it a finger press, get your iron on it, whatever's best for you. If you've got lots of time, then you're going to iron these as you go. So now we're going to do the 2 half square triangles. Again, a 1/4 inch seam allowance, make it a scant one. So a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance just means that you're going a hair's breadth smaller than the 1/4 inch. So now we've got our 2 half square triangles put together. I'm going to put my square on top of that, so it's right sides together, and I'm going to join those pieces together. Again, finger press or iron as you go. So you can see we start building up our pieces. Again, we're putting that half square triangle on our main piece. So the template is called Autumn Leaf because it's based on the pattern behind me, the quilt, called Sage. If you're worried about pressing to the dark side, then obviously you know if that's what you want to do, then that's what you're going to do. I just like to get the thing done. So if it was really important to me, in other words, if it was a white fabric and this was going to really show, then I would definitely press to the dark side. But I'm not a perfectionist in any way at all. I just like to get the project done. I just enjoy the process and enjoy the journey of making something gorgeous. So quick iron just to make sure they're all okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these 3 together, these 3 rows together here, 1, 2, 3. Like I said, keep it all on your mat so you can see how you're building that up. So right sides together. Make sure you get those corners sitting nicely. Scant 1/4 inch. Keep putting it down on your mat. It's always good to have a little bit of space next to you to make sure that you can keep putting it down, picking it up. Right sides together, over that. Again, line that corner up, get that corner perfect. And then get the other piece attached. Okay, so there is our other half. So again, we'll just pop it under the iron. So this time we're actually going to push the seams down a certain way. Where our stalk is quite bulky. So I don't want to add to the bulk. I want to nest that seam. And I have to push those seams here away from me. So when I come to put it together, this seam is going down, this seam goes up. It just has worked out better that way. So there is our 2 halves. So now we're doing right sides together and line up our corner, make sure that sits nicely, and then we're just going right down to the bottom and it all should fit beautifully. If it doesn't, then watch your seam allowances. You can always trim if you think that's necessary. So there is now our block. So we're just going to push that seam away. I think you'll realise quite quickly that this corner here, where your stalk is, or the leaf, you know, the leaf stalk, is quite bulky. So that one really wants to go like that, albeit that's quite bulky there. But actually, having made a few of these now, it seems to work better when I do it that way. So there's our first little leaf block made, and like I say, just be aware of your pressing, don't distort it too much. I think it looks gorgeous. So that is our leaf done. So now I'm going to make up the other 3. So I'll do that and then I'll come back to you. So I've created all 4 blocks now. So if we have a look at them in front of us here, I'll put them on my lovely ironing mat. Now you may be wondering what colour thread to use. It was something that I obviously considered when I was making this quilt, and also these panels as well. You could use a light to medium coloured grey. That's quite good. On this occasion I've used a sort of a medium coloured brown. So something that's going to work for the majority of your fabrics. Obviously with these colours they're all autumnal, but you could actually make this in spring colours, in baby colours, all in whites. That would look amazing. So anyway, these are the 4 panels that we've just made. This is our sort of centre design. If you look at the quilt behind me, you can see how that works. These work out to be 6.5 inches square. So once you've done those, if you want to trim them up to make them even more beautifully square, then please do that. But because they're quite small, actually they go together quite well, and I doubt whether you'll have to trim back. The next stage to make this particular little quilted cushion is to actually join it together with the sashing. Now I've done cornerstones just to make it interesting and brought in another colour, and I'm also going to use the main shape to create a lovely border going around, sort of plain in the middle, but the border is going to be quite pretty, just because the quilt is. I'm going to just follow that. So when we look on the overhead, you can see, if I push the machine away, you can see those 4 shapes there. You can see how they work together. And obviously we want to create sashing and cornerstones on our borders here. So the first thing you need to do is to create these shapes here. Now you will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quick, do the maths. You need 8 of these. Now I nearly did like a green with a green and a rust with a rust. I thought, you know what, we'll do like we did with the border and actually sort of mix the colours up. But what I suggest is that you, like for instance, I've got the green and rust coloured here. I suggest that you put it near one of the others. So in other words, if we look like that, we can just put it there, and that should fit absolutely perfectly. We're going to put cornerstones here. So I've got like a gorgeous dark plum colour, so we're going to do cornerstones there, and I've got a bright orange which is going to go there, cornerstone, bright orange, etc, etc. So that's how we're going to make this up. So we're going to do one bit at a time. I think what the best thing to do is to do the strips here and the cornerstones on these, and then join those together with the center panel. Obviously you can do whatever you like, and like I said, there is no pattern for this because I just wanted to show you how to use the templates and how to make the leaves up. So with no further sort of slacking in the department here, I'm going to start stitching those main shapes together. Like I said, I need 8, so I would just pick any ones you like, any of the colours. They're going to go right sides together. So if we look at the side camera, you'll see that I've got the 2 shapes here. They fit perfectly like that. When you come to stitch them, they go at a right angle to each other, a bit like when you're making binding, they go at right angles, and that's how we're going to stitch them together. I always think it looks like a bit of one of those carpenter's set squares. You're still doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so all the way along. And then we're just going to press that open, and that's what you want to make, but you want to make 8 of them. I'm a little bit out there actually at the top, so I may redo that one. So just pick from your colours. I would get sort of a selection of colours that you can put together. So maybe the green with the red, like that. Again, right sides together, you're just going to make that sort of shape there. Okay, and we're going to stitch along here. So again, scant 1/4 inch. So we're going to do 8 of these. So that's 2, That's 3. I might redo that one. Like I say, mix the colours up. I mean, it could be that once you want to plan it out, so you could lay these shapes down, the autumn leaf shape, and just have a little play on your mat. But I'm just going to kind of just go for it. So that's 4. We've got this other colour here, this sort of lovely pinky colour. I do love that colour. So we'll put that with the, I've already used the yellow. See, this is where you start and you think, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I'm going to have to change it. And you'll have troubles picking your colour. I know some of you will want to absolutely be precise with your colours. But you don't have to do it like this. You could do it in, sort of... I'm just going to pick that yellow again, it's lovely. You could just do in solids. The whole thing could be in just solids, and then you'll have the seam line to make it interesting. So it's up to you. So how many have we got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more. So we'll use that green again because I love it. We'll use that yellow again because I love it. I love all of these autumnal colours. Now, the fabrics I used are pretty well known. They're Macawa, like a linen texture. I got these actual ones from Oh So Sweet, and I'll put the link in the pattern anyway. So again, this is the last pair here. So again, don't forget, right sides together, and you're stitching along the diagonal, cut 1/4 inch. I would make it a scant. And the reason why I say scant all the time is because undoubtedly, I'll just push that away, I'm going to iron from the top. Undoubtedly you would go over and then your blocks would all be a different size. So if you do a scant, you can always trim back. Right, so all of these now need a little press, so they look gorgeous. And then we're going to just lay them out with our top panels just to see how they look. I do really want to mix the colours up with that. So, and also you see where we've got those 2 colours sitting the same, I would actually put it like that on my cushion. So again, it's all down to personal preference. Oh, I've got that yellow in there again. I knew I'd get it in there lots. It's such a pretty colour. In the actual quilt sage itself, I used 8 different colours. That's a little bit out, but I'm going to ignore it. I used 8 different colours. The cream in the centre of the leaf was my 9th colour, and I actually have a 10th colour, which is the purple that I showed you before for the cornerstones. So now when we start looking at this, we'll get the cushion panels in. Let's just give ourselves a little bit of room. Move that machine away. So you want to make sure that your stalk is down the bottom here. Now some of this we may lose off screen, but I'll bring it in as we need to. So these ones here are going to be orange. So we'll just lay that down there. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous sort of grungy orange. Wow, it just looks stunning, doesn't it? So we'll put our cornerstones in so we can see how it looks. Amazing. And also our cornerstones up the top here. I might zoom you out in a sec so you can see. So all of this needs to be built up. So I'll zoom you out. You'll see all sorts of goings on with the corner of my desk, but then you'll be able to see actual design. So let me just zoom you out. Bear with. Okay, Okay, so we've just about got it on the mat, so you can see. So it ends up quite a big cushion front. So, you know, we obviously you're going to work with that however you want it. So now we're going to start placing these pieces down. And what we're going to try to do is not get them so they're repeating with the colour here. That's just me being pedantic. Again, see that rust goes there, but I could put it there. But then we've got it there. What do we do? Put it over here. See how we get on. We might have to just bite the bullet with that, as they say. So that green is there, so I'll put that one there. That looks good there. So it's not so bad. You bet anything you like this is a repeat. Look, there we are. So let's just move that to there. That's that repeat on there. That's the same as that, so I'm going to move that. So we'll put that there. That's the same as that. Do you see what's happening here? We're going to end up... Oh, I think we've got it. By Jove, we've got it. So can you see how that works now? So we've made up our 8 little pieces. We've got our cornerstone sitting here, and these are just the 2.5-inch squares. And actually, that looks incredible. So what I'm going to do to piece this together, I'm going to smooth these out so we can see the actual piece. Let me think. Right, okay, so I'm going to stitch that to that. It doesn't really matter too much what order you do this in. So that to that. Then I'm going to put that one onto there. So that will be my first one. So that goes on there. Once that's stitched, these two are stitched together, that goes on there. And then I'll join these two together and stitch it onto there. And then repeat as we go through. So hopefully I'll be able to put that together as it is. I'll have to move this across my desk. So I'll piece the first little piece and then I'll stitch the rest and I'll come back to you. Okay, I'm stitching that top left cornerstone to the top left strip. Oops, not cut my threads. So there's my first piece. I shall put that back down on my desk. And then I'm going to stitch the leaf panel to my little border that I made. Now, like I said, there is no pattern for this. I've not written a pattern for it. So try and follow as best you can. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, rewind. So now I've stitched those together. And how you're looking at it is how it is. So this is the top left square. So now what I'm going to do is to stitch the cornerstone and the top strip, if I can hold it straight, to that. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll stitch this and then I'll show you on the overhead. Now I haven't pressed any of this, but you need to nest your seams, make it as neat as you possibly can, and absolutely press, press, press. If you need to trim any of the strip that you've just made, please do that. So that's what we have. There we are, I have that yellow up there. So that is our top left, okay? And I'm going to just trim this little bit on the end here. So if we look on the overhead now, I'm trying not to mess up the whole thing because I've had it in an order, didn't I? So if I bring in my mat and put it on the overhead, so this is my top left. Just make sure all of these seams are pressed correctly so they all lie correctly. There we go. That one's going to go in actually, like that. Give that a little press. I'm going to trim just the edge of that. So the next thing to do is I'm going to stitch my orange sashing and my next cornerstone together, and then I'm going to stitch it on there. I'll trim this little end off here, and then I'll stitch it to there, and so we continue across the top of the cushion front. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back to you and you can see how that's put together. Okay, so if we have a look over the top here, you can see what I've done so far, just so you can keep up with me. So we've stitched this little piece together. So we stitched this top piece to that, then we stitched that to that, and then we stitched this piece to that to give us that little section there. I then put that one to that one, stitched it together, flipped it. On this one, I then did exactly the same. So I joined my cornerstone to my piece. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you do that one or that one, as long as your cornerstone is attached to one of them. And then I stitched it onto my block. So that's how I've left it. That's how I've got it. So now I just stitch that one to that one, and that gives me my top row. And then all you're going to do is repeat. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, join all of these together in a row, all your cornerstones and sashing, and then fit to your bottom piece. Whichever way you do it is right for you. There is no right or wrong in my world, so whatever is easiest for you. But obviously you need to make sure that your cornerstones are attached to at least one of those panels, either the sashing or those lovely decorative pieces. So I'm going to put the rest of this together, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and all it will need then is a backing, and obviously we're going to do the binding around the outside. Now because this is a free pattern, I'm not going to go into huge details about it. You know how to do an envelope back, you know how to do the binding, so I will put wrong sides together of the envelope back and this little cushion front, and then I'll bind the whole thing just like as if it was a quilt, and then pop a cushion in. And what I'll do is I'll finish that off, and then we'll have a picture at the end of this video so you can see what it looks like. And do you know what? The world's your oyster with this template. It's a 3-in-1. It's going to make the most super projects. So I'll go away and finish this cushion front, and then you'll be able to see at least what the cushion front looks like live, so to speak, and then we'll do a picture of the completed cushion. It'll look amazing. So I've put the whole cushion front together. It needs a really good press. I'll just quickly show you. There you go. It needs a jolly good press. I will go away and do that, and I will finish the cushion completely, and like I said, we'll have that lovely picture at the end. So there we are. So if we look at it like that, you can see how it's going to work, and it's going to look amazing on my settee in my home. Gorgeous quilt on the back, the cushion at the front. What could be better? If you're not sure how I did this, start again from the beginning and slowly go through. This is a quick tutorial on the leaf template to help you make Sage, which is the beautiful quilt behind me. As I said, the pattern will have all of the instructions in there on how to put it together in diagram form. So I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial, and I'd like to see some leaves made. Thank you. Bye.